Sometimes a minute's really long.
Sometimes 20 minutes goes by fast and 20 minutes just really slow.
Sometimes an hour was 2 hours.
All right, it is 9 a.m., everybody. I call this meeting to the Riley County Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good Thursday morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody watching caught the 9 o'clock start this morning rather than 8:30 due to Good Morning Manhattan. So we're a little half an hour off. It felt like a long time this morning, actually. So with that, we'll go ahead and start off with some public comments this morning. I see Russell up there, but it looks like he's connecting. So if he's got some public comments, we'll come back. We'll move to the chamber. And it looks like Clancy's got something to start off this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Clancy Holman, Riley County Council. Kind of starting a trend here. I need to have you change the title of my one of my executive sessions in my administrative time. The second one, number 14, under the 9:30 time, should be potential litigation. Why I keep calling this one pending? It's not. I would ask the board for a motion just to change pending to potential.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we change on item 14, Clancy's executive session regarding potential litigation, not pending litigation.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
That'll let it grab.
gotcha. Can we hold you to it?
Sure, try.
Okay. Did you have anything this morning, Delana?
I'm just here in case you had any questions. There's the
Okay.
agreement to sign.
Okay. Looks like Russell's still trying to connect, so we'll just catch up with him later, and I'll go ahead and close off public comments this morning, and we'll move to commissioner comments and start with Commissioner McKinley. Tried to say McKinley first. Good morning, Thursday.
Wednesday, I attended the Juvenile Detention Facility Board meeting in Junction City. They reviewed financials for the year, and everything's going well there. The state actually pays over 60% of the budget, and the 15 counties just make up the rest. They present a list of all the various programs they have that they use for the residents, I guess. They're not just sticking them in there and locking them there. They've got, they work with them to get high school diplomas or GEDs. And then they also have a lot of other programs to teach them life skills. A lot of really good programs, it sounds like, and giving them options of what to do, in the future and stuff. They really trying to take care of the kids, it looks like. It's a well-run facility. Reminder, the vaccination clinic at Potter Falls today from 9 to 4, primarily for children 12 to 17, but others will be allowed. And then tonight is the return of the third Thursday events downtown Manhattan. They've got outdoor artists, entertainers, and food and drink specials at some restaurants. After missing last year, they're hoping that for good weather for everyone to enjoy the evenings. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Foki.
Okay. Well, Monday, Commissioner Ford and myself attended the law board meeting at noon at the City Commission chambers. During public comments, Lorenzo Lockett, a social work professor at K-State, voiced his concerns and those of the Coalition for Equal Justice on the appointment process to the law board. And Commissioner Ford explained the appointment process that we had already adopted for the appointment interview process. Discussion was held on the process that the City Commission is going to work on going forward. Also, B. Stoney did a fairly a long presentation on for the Coalition of Equal Justice on the different ways that, to bring in diversity into the process. So Chairwoman Linda Morris asked that be provided to us in a written format. So we look forward to seeing that. Director Butler discussed the recent CALEA reaccreditation anniversary celebration, and which I was lucky to attend. Captain Dagger reported on the firearms range, and apparently the water line has been installed and the facility is operational at this point. They're waiting for the fencing to be installed, and the weather hasn't really helped a lot with that. They should be completed by the end of June. Tuesday, I attended a Zoom meeting of the Food and Farm Council to discuss their food master plan that's being developed. Consultant from New Venture Advisors is helping the board to develop the written plan. And they have it all on their website, which it's coming together very well. Let's see. And they will also have all the information available on the Google Drive for the board members to access. Julie Gibbs and Amanda are also on the board from Raleigh County. I'm looking at going to the Keats meeting on the 27th concerning the sewer district discussion. It is in my commission district, so I thought that it would be important to attend. I know that Patsy has not necessarily, doesn't want to like the idea of us attending, but I think it is important. I'll plan to get with Amanda to be briefed on the updates on that and the presentation that's going to be given. And so I don't know if you two have any objections to that, to be attending.
Be prepared to probably answer a lot of questions, though.
Yeah, I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
So I was here at that one meeting when a group of them were here.
Yeah.
So I know there's a lot of discussion that's going to be held. It's not going to be an easy topic. So.
Go ahead, quickly, Rich.
And I understand Patsy's concern, and I share the thing that any commissioner at those meetings needs to be careful about is not to be the one answering those questions, because staff has been working on it. So it's, in our opinion, Clancy and I have talked about it, it's best the commissioners listen, that way they can hear what's said, but we don't want commissioners making promises or saying something's gonna be done when staff's already looked into it and it can't be done. So, and we've always preferred let staff handle those and bring the reports back to the commissioners. That way all the commissioners get the same information. And so that's the reason why.
Okay.
That's the reason why we have had a meeting regarding the firing range where commissioner went, and it didn't go very well because sometimes commissioners want to take charge, and that happens, and it went rather bad rather quickly. So.
Well, I don't plan to do that. I plan to really rely on the staff and just be there more as a support person.
And do keep in mind, if more than two of us go to that meeting, then by virtue, it becomes an open meeting. So there's a whole set of other challenges with that. So.
Unless we're one of you planning to go to it?
I wasn't.
Okay. And then, yeah, I won't get into a lot of discussion. I really plan just to be there just to support for staff. So, let's see, yesterday, had several appointments, Bellflower practice last night, and reviewed the budget presentations for today. So that's it.
Okay. I had mine pulled up, and somehow it disappeared, but we'll start again here. I too, as mentioned, attended the May meeting of the RCPD Law Board. You took all my thunder on that one, so no, it's perfectly fine. You summarized what happened very, very well. The only thing I might add to that is we did continue to kind of discuss the 2022 budget, and there's several new complications. Thank you, Kansas legislature, and involved in that equation that we're going to have to work through. But otherwise, Commissioner Foki summed that up very, very well. Just right after that law board meeting, I did catch the last half of the biweekly community leader Zoom call. It's a call that I've been on. I realized since about the beginning of October, it seems like forever. But it's a call with continues with community partners, City of Manhattan, K-State, Lafayette, Via Christi, Health Department, just on continued COVID-related recovery efforts, vaccinations, of course, the removal of the mask mandates were kind of front and center there. I picked up on the conversation when they were discussing that, so there may have been some other stuff they were discussing. I was on that call for maybe 10 minutes. It started at 1:30, and of course, we were in the middle of the other meeting. So we are going to probably do just one of those for the remainder of summer, potentially going into fall. And then as we get into fall to see what's happening, we may go ahead and eliminate that particular meeting at that time, depending on what's going on when we get there. So also, let's see, Tuesday afternoon, attended the monthly meeting of the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce, being the ex officio there. That was in person at the Farm Bureau facility out of Such House. That's the second month we've met in person. On the topics of discussion there were a possible new opportunity in the downtown sector over here by the Discovery Center. It's still a primitive conversation, so I'm just going to leave it at that. There's a YouTube video out about it and some private donors and stuff that are working on it. So that conversation will probably continue. It seems pretty cool to me. It'd be something very, very unique, both to the area, the region, and the Midwest. So we'll see how that transpires. Also, part of the discussion was continued discussions that we've been having in an entrepreneurial center. And several other components to that. Chamber discussed the budget request, including the one that presented to us, a need for an aquatic center here in the area, and an update on both the growth committee and sites and buildings around the area. And I also provided on behalf of Riley County an update on kind of what's going on here and what we're doing, and had to speak really, really fast to get it all into 2 minutes. Wednesday afternoon, for I think the first time in well over a year, we met in person as the Flint Hills Metropolitan Planning Organization. Topics of discussion there were an update to Amendment 1 of the 2021 Unified Planning Work Program. It's almost a long title too, isn't it? We also discussed plans to try to work with KDOT to change the local match formula and GPC funding. That's a tongue twister. More will have to probably come on this. They're not quite probably where we need to be at, but local match funding is supposed to be 80% outside federal, state, and then 20 with all the locals. The projection is getting closer to 35-40% moving forward. And there's funds available. There's unused funds available from the other two particular NPOs here in the state. We need to re-grasp that so it's being properly allocated and channeled in the direction that it needs to go. And we're trying to keep as close to that 20% match as possible. So there'll be some other discussions on that. And then, of course, this morning we zoomed in on the Chamber's Good Morning Manhattan. Good line of speakers: Robin Cole from Pawnee, Jared Wassinger from the city, and Sarah Siders from Spark. So, and here we are. So we'll go ahead and start off with some business then, Zerich.
First item, we need a motion to approve the bid, including LED light option from Diamond International, in the amount of $196,395 for a tandem axle truck.
I would move to approve the bid, including the LED lighting option from Diamond International, $496,395.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the bid recommendation on the tandem axle dump truck. All those in favor? Aye.
Next, I need a motion to approve 55-ton paper rate for hydraulic detached drop deck trailer bid recommendation off the trailers in the amount of $62,325.
You want to try that one again?
No.
No? Okay.
Why don't you just say dump trailer, Alvin?
And I'd move to approve the bid from Kaufman Trailers for $62,325.
You didn't want to try it either?
No, I don't need a good job. So I think I might do that well.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and I'm not going to try it either. For the dump truck and bid recommendation from Public Works. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, I need a motion to approve the Wareham contract for district court.
Commissioners, Nancy Holman, Raleigh County Council, just want to give you a heads up, as Nichols already mentioned, we're a contractor for you. We've got some additional dates that became available in there, and so I've written those in, just so you know. Originally, this was designed to be one date, and there would be other dates that would come up with the courts would need access for the same purpose. And those kind of came together yesterday, late yesterday. So it's not just May 27th. It now includes as dates for jury trial 2, juror selection, not for trial, jury selection at that location. July 6th, July 14th, August 3rd, and August 16th. I will say more dates to come. We'll probably be seeing this agreement again as the summer goes forward.
Okay.
We'll get other dates in there for your approval. The financial aspect of it is $350 deposit that will be due 2 weeks following the signing of this, and then there'll be $200 for each rental. What their agreement provides is saying the ability to cancel if those trials wash out and go away. Not going to happen. Whatever the term should be. Which trials are wash out probably doesn't sound right. That is pretty funny. So, if they don't happen,
If that happens, we just blame you.
yeah, we have the ability to go ahead and cancel.
I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be far more expensive than that. So,
Yeah, is a $350 deposit a one-time thing?
Yes, it is.
And then the other question I had was, we have to have everything out by 4 PM. Is that going to be reasonable for the courts to get, and the IT to get everything out by that time of day?
It should, for a normal trial, we're usually done by noon.
Okay.
Just depends if it's a serious case, it might take longer to pick the jury. But I think 4 o'clock will work on it.
Good question. What we're going to do is the manager of the place has indicated that what we can do is even store the electronic screening devices that the law enforcement is going to use. We can actually store them on site there probably. And we did request it about whether that's enough time, because originally I would have said that seems like it's awful short, but
Yeah.
we got to remember we're not going to try. And there's not much use of the facility right now during the week. Now, there is no use. That's why we only get these dates and so forth. They can be a little flexible with this.
Okay.
We have to put, since we supply cleaners when we're done, we have to clean.
Well, we don't. Actually, the facility gets it ready. They clean it, make it ready for whoever used it last. So it should be clean when they begin. And then court staff will do probably some waste pickup or whatever, but they do have a contracted vendor that was already in place at the previous site. And it will not be county staff doing that.
Yeah.
There's no reason we involved various IT, public works, everybody in the tour, so everybody can speak up and say, okay, well, here's this issue for us. And public works, so they just simply don't have the people available.
But they've got someone lined up.
Of
They've
course,
got the
of course, yes,
reports, yeah.
that they're taking care of. Yeah, good question. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
I'd move to approve.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay. It's been moved and approved for the contract for district court at the Wareham Theater for jury selection. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good
Have a good
weekend.
weekend.
Difference.
Are you taking the second row?
Oh, yeah. I don't think you were here when it was set up originally.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And
It's-
I can't even imagine saying, well, we'll stay social distance. I'm like, I can't imagine how else it would be. So it'd be interesting.
Well, Clancy's usually here. I'm usually where Greg is. Greg will be there. Rich will slide back into there.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, I
Yeah.
noticed they're actually desks, but I didn't know how it was.
Yeah. At some point in time. This is a little off, I think, from where we were at originally, but we'll get it. We'll get it. We're all right.
And has this been filled?
Nope.
that's.
Probably will be now. Thanks.
We got plenty of room.
Yeah. Come on in and see us.
Next, I need a motion to approve CIP authorization, approved May 17th meeting for a one-time deployment and a 2021 prorated annual cost amount.
For open
For
up.
open gov.
Okay. I'll move to approve, pardon me, move to approve the open.gov software program. It was approved at the May 17th meeting.
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the 2021 CIP authorization for OpenGov. All those in favor?
Aye.
Just to give you an update, still working on contract terms. And that's what you're doing.
Oh, okay, okay.
This one works.
Long time for this signature.
Been working on it a long time, a
Yeah.
lot of hours on this project for sure.
Yeah, I was very sad to hear the passing of Mr. Gassman.
Yeah, have a bad deal.
Yeah.
Next, commissioners have Riley County personnel action forms, Alex fees, COVID-19 tracer, Riley County Health Department, separation of service, Luann Miller, customer service 2, Riley County Treasurer's Office, separation of service, Lawrence Gassman, Public Works Operator 2, Riley County Public Works, separation of service, Mia Coley, PRN, EMT, Riley County EMS, separation of service, Rayanne Fire, I guess, PRN, paramedic, EMS department, separation of service, Courtney Loans, PRN, EMT, EMS department, for separation of service, Ryan Hagg, PRN, EMT, EMS department, separation of service, Alex Knox, PRN, paramedic, EMS department, separation of service.
Okay, I have a correction. Those are not separation of service, that's good, that's a typo. So the 5 PRN, EMTs, paramedics.
Are new hires?
They are all new hires.
Okay.
They have orientation, so
Oh, okay.
they are 5 new, so they have all of their PRN positions filled, they do them as a group.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely is.
I was gonna say, that's a whole bunch of people there to lose all at once. Yeah, yeah.
So that'd be for all of those
Yeah,
PRNs.
Mia Cox, Brianna Byer, Courtney Fleming,
Okay.
Ryan Hay, and then Alex Knox are all new hires, PRN, so as needed, EMT paramedics.
So we don't have a bigger problem as we thought.
No.
I was just looking at that going, wow, that's a lot of EMTs to lose at once.
Still.
Okay.
Next is Haley, thanks for that clarification. Next is Haley Heptig, new hire, appraiser 1, personal property, Howard County Appraiser's Office, new hire, and then Michael Regal, fire chief, department, separation of service. And I need all 3 signatures, please.
Do we need to do something to, for the Gassman family?
Yeah, would be good.
Would agree.
We'll get a card for the board.
Don't they have a memorial set up, or do we have funds available to, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, that gets kind of tricky on that. There is a memorial service. I saw it online.
Good one.
It wasn't local.
We'll get a card for the board for Mr. Gass.
He's originally from the Dallas
Thank you.
area.
Dallas area,
Mhm.
okay.
Back to where we started on the fire chief again, huh?
We are, we have a proposal today to discuss a really great option.
Last.
Yeah, I talked to Russell about it already, so, yeah.
First time, oh no, then I saw he's got that, yeah. It's on the plan.
Not that we're not sad to see
Right.
Michael go, but he's been communicating the last several weeks quite a bit, so we started making plans and working out what we can do.
I'll pass these over. Some of
Parts
them,
at a time.
as I'm working on. Here, at least.
I just don't remember last fall with the small business loan.
Oh, God, yeah, you can.
There's 2 per, and it was like a stack was thick at one point in time.
Someone got caught locally doing a fraudulent claim on some of those funds.
Two.
Yeah, he's in big trouble.
Two, I hadn't heard the other one.
No, he did it twice. Same person 2 times, sorry.
One of them, we bought a really nice car on it.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
It's like, that's like not paying the taxes. They get you.
Morning, Greg.
Morning, Rich, how are you?
Good.
I get to Riley County and a couple weeks behind in reading.
Oh, yeah.
So, just reading the issue this week, congratulations on your wife getting her PhD.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, huge accomplishment.
You just got a whole family full of graduates, don't you?
Yeah, have more next year as well. 2 more with their doctorates in PT next year, so.
So you'll be able to retire pretty soon.
That's what I told my wife.
Yeah.
I it sounds like this conversation.
Well, this one is one we wouldn't have to hire.
Yeah.
They say the devil you know is better than the devil. That's it.
Exactly. That's for sure.
I think that's a balance.
That's for sure.
There's so many layers to that statement.
My
Wow.
goodness, yeah.
That is true.
So just to make sure we're totally clear on that, there were 3 terminations that followed, those 3 separations. So Michael Regal, Barry Jasmine, and Alex Speeds, but everything else was the new hire. So it actually is a pretty exciting day.
Yeah.
A lot of these coming on.
Yeah, it's better than the alternative in this
Yeah.
situation, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm excited for that. That's good. There's a lot of good pages and some of them are smart, it's just separation versus hires. Yeah, a little bit.
Loosen up behind the keyboard.
Yeah, well, sometimes those things just stay and then you make the next one, and down.
Keep copy, yeah, copy and paste gets you in trouble.
Yes, it does.
It's sure easy, but.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth, appreciate it. Sure. Next, I need a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Move to approve accounts payable and payroll.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and approved on accounts, payroll, and payables. All those fair?
Aye.
All 3, please.
We're in the midst of that. Tentative agendas look pretty tentative and nothing for me
Okay.
on the press
Anything for
conference.
next week's press conference? Okay, get those 2 done, just have to review minutes. Want to do that
9:30.
before or after?
Let's go ahead and do it now, get it done.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm almost done here.
You do?
Gonna multitask?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let's just hold off on the minutes and we won't be rushing about it. Yeah,
Okay.
There's some
Sounds good.
stuff messed up.
okay. He says he's got some
Executive
changes
Session, so.
up with the
What time is
executive
the
session.
first one gonna be done, Clancy?
I'm 40.
He does that sometimes.
We're 10 minutes. I'm not taking a class from the DA on behalf of Craig or anybody. I'm sorry. I did, for the same reason. Nothing personal.
You just can't take the whole session.
Just shocked you didn't say 5 minutes.
Not the first one, unless they happen again.
Right. Thank you. And it is 9:30 with that too. So did you have anything else to start with, Clancy?
No, Mr. Chairman, just I asked for the first executive session.
Okay, I move that the county commission, including Chairman Ford, Commissioner McKinley, and Commissioner BOCC, recess into executive session on pending litigation for the purpose of consultation with Craig Cox, Deputy Riley County Counselor, attorney for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 9:40 a.m.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, sir. I'll move that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay. And also move that the record reflect action shall be taken consistent with the consensus reached in executive session.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Big deep breath. I move the county commission, including Chairman Ford, Commissioner McKinley, and Commissioner Foki, recess into executive session on potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, attorney for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, the open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 9:50 a.m.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Move the Board of County Commission come out of executive session.
Second. Oh,
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
aye.
Also move that the record reflect action shall be taken consistent with consensus reached in executive session. Second. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners, that's all I have.
Okay. And it looks like it's 9:50 and well, right on cue, there's Bob.
I was in the theater, so I'm like,
Nah, okay. Should have entered stage right though.
Where are we at in the agenda here?
Yeah, I think this one is for the Kramer.
The Kramer or the
Kramer.
Kramer.
It's for University Park.
Huh?
Yeah, the second one you have is University Park.
Okay. Good, we're on it. Okay, one of the leaders just change up. So that happens. Okay. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning.
Representing the Leroy and Clarice Bonenblust Trust, Lorraine Kramer, trustee, has made application with the Riley County Planning and Development Department requesting approval for a residential use designator for an extraneous farmstead for an unplatted tract of land and to plat that tract into a single lot. The septic site is generally located approximately 2,340 feet east of Allenbeck Road on the north side of Fairview Church Road. The subject site is a relatively small 10-acre portion of a larger 80-acre parent tract, one of two contiguous 80-acre parent tracts. The subject site is served as the residential portion of the larger agricultural tract. It is currently developed with an aging home built circa 1883 and a garage built circa 1945. The subject site, along with the rest of the parent tract and surrounding property, is zoned AG Agricultural District, shown here in gray. There are no variances, conditional uses, or special uses associated with the site. Riley County Fire District Number 1 will continue to serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the Leonardville Fire Station, which is station number 6, located at 108 West Barton Street in Leonardville. The second responder would be the Riley Rural Fire Station, which is station number 5, located at 327 North Main Street in the city of Riley. This site is within 5 road miles of the fire station. The proposed development is located within the Fort Riley noise zone called the Land Use Planning Zone, or LUPC, shown here in blue on the upper half of the slide. The property is also located within the critical area an area defined in the Kansas statutes as any portion of the state area of interest where future use of such area is determined in a coordinated manner between the military installation and the municipality, and should be monitored or managed to reduce any potential conflict with any military operation and the economic well-being of the municipality. Municipality in this case obviously is Riley County. Fort Riley officials were notified of the request as per the memorandum of understanding between Fort Riley and the surrounding municipalities. That should be attached within your staff report. What we have here is the specific criteria for the residential use designator for an extraneous farmstead. And these criteria here are listed in the Riley County zoning regulations. There are 5 such standards that must be met for approval. And upon review, the Riley County Planning Board felt that the request did meet the criteria. This is the preliminary plat showing the lot, existing home, and outbuildings. This plat map also shows how the home is situated on a relatively high point of the proposed lot, with the majority of the property sloping downward east to west. The subject site is currently served by an on-site water well and a septic or private septic tank lateral system. The subject site is currently has a direct access to Fairview Church Road, a gravel 2-lane minor collector maintained by the county. No additional points of ingress egress are being proposed with this request. So they're going to keep this same driveway. And this is the final plat established on a lot of 9.4 net acres after the required dedication of right-of-way for Fairview Church Road has occurred. Now, that's just a few pictures of the site. This is standing at the southeast corner of the property on Fairview Church Road, looking northwest past the mill barn. Moving westerly along Fairview Church Road, the property has various outbuildings and farm equipment in various conditions scattered over the farmstead. This picture shows the dilapidated garage with the home and abandoned windmill in the background. And moving further west, standing at the driveway entrance, this is the home. Although it was built in the late 1880s, it has undergone various remodels over the years. As mentioned previously, the applicant's brother wishes to reside in the home and use the surrounding ground for gardening and small agricultural pursuits to clean up the property. Essentially, this belonged to the parents, and parents passed on, and it's an inheritance thing through the trust. And the applicant's brother wished to retain the home, but the farmstead, and use it for farming. This is essentially the western edge of the farmstead, the tree-lined farmstead, occupied by building structures and equipment. And as you can kind of see here at the last bit, here's where the home is in relative to the rest of it. And so there was some question as to why this was included. Again, he really would like to utilize that ground for gardening and such. According to the applicant, years ago, before it was tilled up, they were planting their family garden out in this area here. So they want to return it to that. So on May 10th, the Raleigh County Planning Board heard the request, having no concerns. The Planning Board approved the request for residential use designated for an extraneous farmstead and approved the concurrent plat of Kramer Addition. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners acknowledge the final or approved final plat of Kramer Addition, accepting any easements, rights of way, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat. That's all I have. If you have any questions for me, I'm glad to field this.
Pretty standard. I get the purpose behind it, so I'm good. Does require a motion to do, and we'll have some paperwork and a Mylar to sign as well.
I move to approve the resolution 05-2021, acknowledging the approved final plat of Kramer Addition and accepting the easements, right-of-ways, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the resolution to replot tract of land into one residential lot. All those in favor?
Aye.
All 3 sign, please.
We have 1 of 2 Mylars out here on the table, and the second Mylar cannot be signed until This one right here, I would suggest taking the first one.
Ms. Gary.
Oh, good, that's good.
All right.
How's the meeting this morning?
Good, yeah. Been an early one. We started at 7:30,
Oh, yeah.
so. Had good morning Manhattan this morning.
Oh, sure.
We had the whole crowd filled.
I was there. It was like the theater.
Okay, sounds good.
You have a Mylar out there to sign, Catherine. I believe it's your first one to sign, is it?
No,
No?
No, we've had a couple. We've had couples.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks you. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good.
I'm trying to, is that a Kentucky tie you're wearing?
It sure is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I went by you too quickly this morning, so.
Yeah, I was coming from the treasurer's office. It was my time of the year.
I see.
We appreciate your contribution.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah, I just sent a check for mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because F is this month, right?
That's right.
Is it E, F, and G, or I can't remember. how that
Yeah,
is.
E, F, and G. Yeah,
mine's due
I was gonna say yours is gonna be due then too. Yeah.
Get my little stickers,
Orange this year.
when they used to
The red
give,
orange.
I'm sure Greg would remember this, but they used to get a new license plate every year.
Yeah.
Until about 76 or 77, and then they started doing stickers. And my great grandfather in our granary, he taxed every one on the wall, so they went back to 1913. And then when we had the farm sale, I bought a handful of them just because I wanted to keep them. They're kind of like,
Yeah.
now you just get stickers, and
Yeah.
nobody's gonna nail those to the wall.
No. You take a picture of them is what you do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang those on the wall. Yeah, I think we've got everything signed, Gary. So if you
Oh,
want
okay,
to
great.
go ahead and give us an update on the Vital program, that'll work.
I am also going to give you a fair book. These just came out, okay? So we got a fair going on, it looks like this year.
You have a parade too?
Well, yeah, well, we're still waiting on the carnival to see what they're going to do, but we're gonna have somewhat of a carnival anyway. So I will apologize for not having this up on PowerPoint because on Monday, was the last day to file taxes. So believe it or not, there's some people that wait until the last minute to file their taxes. So we got really busy on Monday and one of our volunteers couldn't make it, so I got called in and it just went nuts. And then Tuesday, I took my son to his summer internship in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Cindy emailed me and said, "Are you gonna send it?" So I just got on the schedule and I gave you a handout in that folder you have there. So it won't be up on the screen, but I wanted to make sure that you all had a copy of that so that we can kind of go through this a little bit. In the past, we've told you before, we've gotten grants from Conza United Way and the Caroline Fine Charitable Foundation to help with the costs of doing the program down at the library. So they've been a big help. Sue does get paid out of those grant funds as the co-coordinator. You have to have by IRS rules a site coordinator. So Sue and I both take the test for that. And then, so one of us has to be there every time. So she gets the bulk of it, but of the time down there. And then the Manhattan Public Library, I need to write a letter to the editor thanking them because they give us their room to use exclusively for preparing taxes and the use of the computers. We bring our own paper, but we use their printer. So they've been a fantastic partner. And this year, our preparers, and that would include Sue and I, but we logged 764 and a half hours of tax prep time. And that does not include a lot of Sue's time that she does on the side for cleaning up little messes that maybe sometimes the rest of us make. We do take the volunteers out for lunch. We took them to a restaurant downtown, El Patron, and gave them all a gift card with some of the grant funds as well so that they get some kind of reward for their work. And they truly have a giving heart. We had 7 volunteers this year. We were down a couple because of COVID. A couple of them worked from home. So they did the tax returns at home and then we reviewed them later because every tax return we do has to be reviewed by another preparer before we can file it. So we make sure and we catch each other's mistakes, quite honestly, little numbers, address changes or whatever. So The next page has got a picture of most of the volunteers. Sue is on the left in the white sweater, and then Sharon, of course, is our office professional. She handles all the calls that come in. Lindy Height, and then to her left is Yin. She's one of our preparers and has been for the last 3 years. Danica, her sister, is the first person in the top row on the left, and then Barb Pereski. Barb does a fantastic job, and then myself. So again, it's coordinated by us. It's the 16th year we've done this, and the folks have done an absolutely fantastic job. So the hard numbers are, we had 672 electronically filed returns that were accepted. We had over 700 people come in, but sometimes there's issues. And so we can't, for one reason or another, we can't do foreign income. There's some other things we can't do. So there's a few that kind of slip through. And then some we file electronically and they get returned because their parents claimed them as a dependent and they thought they were claiming themselves. So then we have to do a paper return, but there was 690 total returns this year, which was a record. And also the amount of refunds was $1.127 million with a saving of $138,000 on tax preparation fees if we figure $200 a return. And we did have a couple of people who told us that some of the private preparers, they'd gone there first and it was $400 for one, $575 for another, and these were all people who were under the income limit. So we were able to do those for them. And
That's up a little bit from the year prior, isn't it?
Yes,
Quite a
yes. Yeah, quite a bit. And of course, a lot of people filed because they had stimulus money.
Oh, that's
they
true.
didn't collect. So we had 20 or 21 people with zero adjusted gross income that came in to file solely to get their stimulus payments that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So that was probably another factor, Commissioner Ford. The breakdown, we had 470 singles. We have a tremendous number of widows and widowers, single people that come in, 110 married filing jointly, 14 filing separately, and 92 head of households. And the average adjusted gross income was $23,210. We also asked questions on the input form about these various things, since we're funded by grant money and we're involved with the government on this, so we collect those statistics as well. So almost 18% were handicapped, 12% were veterans, and almost 35% were minorities. And I've got a breakdown of that in another slide. But the next slide shows a number of returns filed by year, so we've gone up steadily over time. 2019 was a record year, and then last year dropped off because of COVID, but we still got almost 600 done, and this year we got nearly 700 done. So it's growing, and we continue. And the senior center has done taxes in the past, but they were only doing them remotely. And some people wanted to do face-to-face, so they came to us. The Vida Center in Topeka and Shawnee County shut down early, so they sent some of their people over. We had some Shawnee County people. We had some people from Emporia and Council Grove that came up. We had several people call from Kansas City for some reason. When they Googled Vida Tax Service, they came up with Manhattan. Well, then, of course, when they found out where we were, they didn't come. But the next slide shows the client served by race ethnicity. And so you could take a look at those there. I did put the numbers on the bars so you could kind of break that down. But we had a very good diverse group of folks that got their taxes done with us this year. And so that was encouraging as well. We did advertise in a lot of those communities. Clients served by gender is the next slide, and we always have more females than males, except for 1 year. But we had unbelievable amount this year on that end. The other thing, and I don't know, I think I'm losing my mind slowly. Did I leave you another stack of papers? I had made a copy of comments by the, oh, they're not in there. Okay. By the clients that we had. Well, I had a whole stack of them, and I'll bring those to you later. This is just a small sample of some of the comments that we got from our clients. We collected about 150 blue cards, we call them, where they make comments thanking us for the service or whatever. And because it doesn't obviously cost them anything other than time. So just decided to include a few of those for your perusal. And I will send you, I'll probably just send it to you in email, a copy of all the comments we got. And I really would encourage you to look through them because I just randomly picked out 4 comments, some very short, some very long, lots of different situations people are in. So anyway, that is about it for this report, and I'd be glad to answer questions or thoughts that you've got.
No, it's a good program. Continues to do what it needs to do. Good times and bad times.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know if the people getting stimulus checks or have filed for them have gotten them?
Okay,
Because the IRS is raising money.
this is where it becomes strange because we've had people who got their first check of $600 or $1,200, I forget now. I think $1,200 on the first one in April. Didn't get the second one, and then they got a $1,400 one. You know, so
Yeah.
we file it, they get it, they're getting them, but it's taking a while.
Yeah.
And then some people, I don't know what y'all's experience has been with people you talk to or yourselves, but some people got their first one direct deposit and then got their second one as a check.
I did the other way around.
You got the other way around?
Everything for me was direct deposit, and then basically once I filed taxes, I just direct deposited it all right back to them. So
Yeah, right.
that's kind of how that worked. So, but no, I've done everything electronically, and they're saying that's if you want them quicker, that's the best way to go.
So they're way behind on,
Oh, yeah.
on refunds as,
They are.
or anything. And I filed in February, and they usually send out an acknowledgement that they received it, and they aren't even sending those out.
Was
Yeah, I
yours
didn't
sent
get-
electronically or
Yeah.
by paper?
I checked on it, and it's still in progress.
Bless me. I've got a friend that used to was one of the volunteers for long. He talked about how good,
Mhm.
it felt good to help all those people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
It
great
does.
service,
It's a good program.
and it's really good.
Yeah, continues to grow. Sue was hoping we get over 700. Sue is, I don't know if you have ever met Sue Simmons. She's crazy. And she'll tell you that. She loves to get in the middle and tackle the really tough problems. I mean, so she's got a tremendous amount of patience because some of the returns are very challenging, even though they're simple, because we have situations. Some of them are more difficult, and some people come in 3 and 4 times. You know, they may have been an Uber driver. Well, did you bring your list of expenses in so that you can deduct it? Well, no. So then they go back home. Sometimes people will come and they'll forgot their W-2s and some, so there's just all kinds of, even though we ask them to bring all this stuff, the millennials I find are the ones who bring their W-2s on their phone, just a digital copy, which we need to have a paper copy. And so then we have to print stuff out. So, it's challenging. It's not all sunshine and roses, but we're providing a service that provides a lot of help, saves people a lot of money, especially those that can least afford it. Yeah, so absolutely. Anything else? So happy to see you guys and gals. Thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
You too.
Thanks, you have
Have a great day.
Yep.
Next, you have Mr. Moldrip up.
Filling in. We got a couple minutes, Kurt.
Oh, okay.
I try to keep everything on time.
Right on the money.
Yep. Filling in today, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's at a family wedding. Suppose that's a good excuse.
Yeah, we'll let that one go.
We've had a couple of those, haven't we? I've done a wedding or two.
You probably have a couple more, don't you?
few more to go.
Okay.
Then we'll start on.
That's a conservative estimate there too.
I've got 2 next year.
I just got back from one in Kansas City this last weekend myself. So, and then had one the weekend before out in Western Kansas.
Yeah, I
So
had one to
I'm
attend.
weddinged out.
I had one to attend the end of this one.
Catching up on the delays
Yeah.
on some of them.
This last one, they had to replant it 3 times.
Oh.
So, yeah, it got condensed down. So,
We've done enough of them. My wife is a lot of times the wedding coordinator for a lot of the kids or folks we know. We did one this last week for some friends in our church that we planned in 3 weeks. Because that's when they decided. And there were 300 plus people there.
oh, wow.
Pulled it off.
Oh, wow.
Headed outside. It was incredible.
Well, on that note, it is 10:15. So I need to talk about some other things besides weddings.
Yeah, so I am here for standing in for the director, so I apologize. He's far more eloquent and put together than I, so here you go. What I thought I'd talk about, and one of the things that he wanted to bring up, and I think is important for everyone to know, is just our staffing levels at the police department right now. We're having some struggles there. And I should start off by saying that it's all indications are, as I look at the reasons for them, not a general distaste for the work or for the department or problems. There are a lot of them are people going off to federal jobs, or a lot of them are spouses or other opportunities are taking them away elsewhere, which is encouraging. It makes it harder for us to do something about it. In a way, you kind of want to be able to go, hey, we need to fix this. But specifically in the jail, we're down 10, and this can be complicated. So we're down 10, effectively 11, in that we have someone off on military leave for a year. So that really, you have to count that, because that's not a body on the floor, but it's truly not someone not here. But we're down 10 people, and that's counting some that are getting ready to leave that we know. On top of that, we have 2 that will soon be going on maternity duty, which reduces some of their work, as well as in maternity leave. So it's going to be a pretty big impact down there with just 50 employees overall in the jail. And I think it's 46 of those are corrections officers. That's a big impact. So it's hurting us down there. We have a hiring process going on, and actually one of those is going to become a cop. So we're losing him in the jail, but we're gaining him over on there on the patrol side. So that's good. And then one will be moving shortly. His wife is taking a job somewhere else, and he's off with her. Otherwise, we're without 9 corrections officers right now specifically. In patrol, we're currently right now down 3, but we're getting ready to hire 3. But we have 6 resignation letters in the pike and or retirements. 4 that are resigning. Again, one's going to Border Patrol, one's wants to be a lawyer with the ultimate goal of being a judge. Others, family members, have moved, and they're taking, wives or husbands that were in the military have moved. So again, not much to compete with that. And then 2 are retiring. Bad thing, but a good thing. They're here long enough, but we're losing some institutional knowledge out of them. And then dispatch, we're back to being down 4 there, but we have 3 that we've already got done interviews on, or in the final processes of really 4 that we're probably going to hire. We think one of those won't accept the job. We think they have another offer somewhere else that they really want to do. So that's kind of the state of the police department there. I think we're doing what we can to recruit. It's just a difficult climate to recruit in for a number of reasons. Obviously, the national climate, it's kind of hard to say, hey, come work for us. But by the same token, also, I think that everyone's experience, I hear it everywhere, the workforce is just down. I was talking about the stimulus checks and all that. Pros and cons of that, we all know, because there's a lot of people saying, making more money not working. I've had people tell us that. It's better for me not to work. So it's hard to convince them to come, especially into our profession. Then the next thing is we're getting ready to move into Click It or Ticket. That's a campaign sponsored by the Kansas Department of Transportation. It's grant funded to pay overtime for a focus on that, but it applies to all officers. All officers will be focusing on enforcement of seatbelts and car seats for safety from the tomorrow through the 31st, which is Memorial Day weekend. So the public should should be expecting that. Obviously, something not done all the time. The goal there is to reduce the number of preventable accidents that have increased injury as a result of them not being properly restrained. And lastly, I just want to say to the commission here, we said at the law board that the range is pretty well complete. That project is done. Been here 36 years, and I feel like we've discussed it most of that time. So it's, to me personally, it's really just an amazing feat, because I can remember prior to even being in the current building, a discussion of that. I remember our very first range across from the dam, across from there, and actually that land right now is owned by BJ Finney, former K-State player, and is with the Steelers now. We've had lots of discussions with him about our old range out there shooting into a dirt berm. So it's a great improvement, but we'll have an open house shortly for elected officials as well as the public, because it's a pretty impressive range, and we're very thankful. I think it's going to really increase the quality of what I think is already high quality training that we'll have. Any questions?
No, but just an observation on the firing range. That was an interesting process.
It was interesting, but the thing about it's kind of like our shop site. It's a long-term solution.
Yeah.
So it was done right, and it'll be something that does need to be addressed by the community for decades.
I agree. It really is. It's outstanding, and it's safe. I think that's why I said I think we're going to have really quality training out there, and the long term. That's something I don't think to say, but that is true. It's good.
And we control our own destiny with owning it now.
Yeah. Just outstanding. The public should be very proud of it. I think that process, like you said, was long and convoluted.
Yeah,
curious.
challenging, very challenging, but we got through it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Questions? All right. Well, great.
Easy
Good to
crowd
see you.
today. Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Kurt. Take care of yourself.
You
Be
bet.
safe out there.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next commissioner, you have Bob Isaac at 10:30.
Okay.
Minutes.
Huh?
Minutes.
Oh, that's right. We did move it. We do need to go back and get the minutes done here.
Yep, whenever the board's ready.
Hopefully,
Too many breaks
well,
today.
yeah. No, I'd logged myself out of it is what happened. So I'm gonna have to re-log back in here and just. I don't know why it started doing this to me, but I'm just gonna roll with it for now. So, does everybody else have theirs pulled up?
There it is.
Yeah,
Hold
okay.
on.
I just need to log back in here real quick.
Come on,
and we can
five.
get that done.
This one, there we go.
Okay. When everybody's ready, I'm ready.
Yep.
Okay. We'll start off then with page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6.
I've got something on there on item number 10.
Yes, sir.
It says they presented the request from the Soldier Recovery Unit, but didn't we approve it? But we voted to approve.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
It doesn't show.
Yep, this will show.
I was trying to remember which we actually had a vote or if it was.
We
just
did.
Consensus, was there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to remember that, but I'm not recalling. Sounds good, got it.
Well, I thought that's what I was bringing out. I thought we did.
What do we need to go through who made the motion and
I
who seconded?
put it down, yeah, more than likely Greg that made the motion, I'd imagine.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't actually either.
Just make up
Greg
somebody.
made-
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Catherine seconded and voted
That's good.
unanimously.
Well, you can go back to the live stream if you need to for
Yeah.
clarification to figure that one out. The other good thing with that.
Got it.
Okay. That was page 6. Anything else on page 6 then?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move to page 7. Then page 8. Page 9.
Then another one, like 9 and 10. It's items 20 and 21, because originally on the schedule, we had the COLA and merit first and then mid-salary, but we switched them in order. And you've got some of the comments stirred between the two of them. There's some comments under
Yeah,
21 that should be under 20.
let me see.
Well, I think starting with or Hubbard stage long-term and all that part should be up under 20.
Well, 20 was just COLA and merit increase. It wasn't the 2% adjustment, because what Hubbard's talking about.
Yeah,
Is that,
Okay, got you.
20.
Yeah, she was talking about the mid-year adjustment, not the COLA and merit, I didn't think.
oh,
It
okay.
says
Yeah.
2%
I was-
adjustment.
Okay, so I got them confused then. Okay. But I didn't get,
Yeah, I think everything's
is it in the right one?
Spot.
Okay. I got
the
them.
way, from what I see, that's on there.
The mid-year was the two, oh, okay. I was looking at them last night. I got
Because the
them.
5,000 was with the mid-year also.
Right. Yeah, I knew that once, but I thought the others.
So I think it's right.
Okay, you got straight. Okay. See, when I was
Yeah,
reading it last night, that
yeah.
I
no,
had
it
them
was
confused
confusing.
too.
Mhm.
Does it give like 2%? Does it give the percentages in here?
yeah, it's down
Is it
towards the
down
bottom of
below?
that 21 there.
Okay, there it is.
Okay, it is right. Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's
I
okay.
was looking at it last night. I got them stirred together.
Okay. So we'll continue through page 9 there. Page 10. Looks like lastly, page 11.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from is that May 17th, 2021 as amended.
Now second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on approval of the minutes, amended minutes from May 17th, 2021. All those in favor?
Aye.
Clears out your business for the day.
Commissioner, we have Bob Weiss at 10:30.
Just a few minutes.
Two remains.
Luxurious theater seating.
Yeah. It kind of threw us all off this morning, or at least me anyway. The other, I guess, weren't on board last year to visualize it. So the little hints of normalcy once again. So yeah. It is 10:30. So
Let's see.
yeah.
Okay, once again, good morning.
Morning.
Kurt and Cindy L. Friedrich have made application with Raleigh County Planning and Development requesting to replat lots 92, 92A, 93, and 93A of University Park together into one lot. The subject property is generally located approximately 815 feet southwest of Rimrock Drive on the north side of Redbud Drive. The subject property was platted as lots 92, 92A, 93, and 93A of University Park in September of 1959. The applicant wishes to combine the lots in order to construct an accessory structure northwest of his home. The subject property is currently zoned SF1 single-family residential and has been zoned residential since at least 1974 as a result of the 1974 zoning conversion process. There are no conditional uses, special uses, or variances associated with the subject property. Raleigh County Fire District Number 1 will continue to serve the site. The nearest county fire station is the University Park station located at 7412 Redbud Drive. The subject site is located within 5 road miles of a fire station, and incidentally, there is actually a fire hydrant on the subject property. Can't get better than that. This is the final plat illustrating the orientation and location of the lot's boundaries. As mentioned previously, 4 existing lots will be combined to create the new Lot 1. This action will allow the property owner to build an accessory structure on the property that will be consistent with the requirements of the zoning regulations, which requires that the accessory structure has to be on the same lot as the principal.
How is it not currently? How did it end up on 2 lots?
So once built, well, you can straddle a lot line in Raleigh County.
Oh, you can.
You can do
okay.
that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be platted. It's either 2 platted lots or 2 unplatted tracts. It can't be one of each.
Oh, okay.
1. 2, he wishes to build up here. And so this is the tie right here with this house. He just recently purchased this. And so that's kind of the location where it's, and he feels it's just cleaning it up. You get 1 tax statement rather than 4.
Fair enough.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and incidentally, the home is connected to the city, or not city, but University Park, water and sewer systems. There's a pic of the house standing in front of lot 93A, looking northwest along Lakeview Drive. A shot of that loop driveway. And of course, this house was built in circa 2006. And there's that fire hydrant. And this is the other end of his driveway. And this is the location where he wants to build his garage. So on May 10th, Raleigh County Planning Board approved the final plat of University Park Unit 13, which is a replat of lots 92, 92A, 93, 93A, making a finding that the proposed request is consistent with the Raleigh County subdivision regulations, zoning regulations, and sanitary code. Staff recommends that the Board of Commissioners acknowledge the approved final plat of University Park Unit 13, accepting any easements, rights of way, or licenses as shown to be dedicated on the final plat. That's all I have. If you have any questions for me, I'm glad to field those.
So that is gonna be called the entire lot 13 or what?
It'll be lot 1.
Lot 1 will be all of them.
Yeah, there'll be 1. What they're going to be doing is vacating these lot lines inside of this. So what you see in the red checker becomes 1 lot. That's how a replat works. And because it's part of an existing platted subdivision, University Park, it has to be named something else. So typically in these situations, and it has happened quite a bit out in the University Park area, It just goes to a unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. They are welcomed by the Register of Deeds and Planning and Development to name it something else, but it kind of goes with the theme of the area. So they understand that that's where it came from, the replat came from. So in this particular case, this is the 13th one.
This is the 13th one, so it'll be number 13.
Yeah, lucky for Kurt.
Okay. Those lots were pretty small to start with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the beautiful thing about the University Park, it does have a central sewer system,
Yeah.
where other places they don't. And you'll see that along the lake. A lot of old subdivisions that never were built out because of the sanitary code.
Mhm.
They're just not large enough to build on.
I'd move to approve the resolution acknowledging the the approved final plat of University Park, Unit 13, except easements, right-of-ways, licenses shown on to be dedicated on the final plat.
I would second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on a replat of lots 92, 92A, 93, 93A of University Park into one lot. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we have a Mylar out here on the table for you to sign if you need your. Morning.
Oh, we're actually soft.
Yeah, that's what I put in my car.
Yeah, well, we talked to do that.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Painless thing, right?
Yeah. Well, this day isn't that bad. Monday was pretty tough.
got some, yeah, it's been busy.
On Monday, of course, we had the law board right after.
Yeah.
You bet, thank you.
You get so much in your head, you just,
Lots of digest.
yeah.
Oh,
So weird to see so many chairs in here.
That's what everyone said.
I think we got more than we usually had too.
I don't think we
we
need that
think.
many.
I think we have an
Hope we
extra
don't need
row.
that many.
We'd have to really turn the air conditioner on then.
We'll be taking the row out.
Was there just 3 rows? I think there was just 3 rows, right?
Yeah.
3 in the past.
Yeah, because a lot of them were, that table was full, it had
Uh-huh.
8, and there were like 2 or 3 against that wall
Yeah.
over there.
I think we
There was
actually
even
had,
one on the back side of this column here.
we usually had another, I think 1, 2, 3 coming out on this road too,
Everyone's
to the wall.
out of practice.
There's got to be a blueprint somewhere, something in there.
We'll get a schematic drawing.
Put it on the wall.
Hire a consultant.
Yeah, no, we're not. No, we're not. And with that, it's 10:40, so we set you up good this morning, Tammy.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Tammy Robinson, Budget and Finance Officer. And I have the last budgets to present singly before you get the summaries. We have, normally it would be RCPD, however, we have not been provided an appropriation request to date. So that one is still on hold. CIP, Economic Development, the General Fund, Commissioners Fund, Insurance, Bond, and Interest. Well, I listed you guys twice on there, but I'm only going to present once, just so you're aware. Okay, so we're gonna start with CIP. A couple things I wanted to make sure you are aware of in presenting this is that the CIP fund is not legally required to be budgeted by statute. However, the county policy is to budget all funds, so we do present it. Each year, the budget is balanced by reflecting a 0 fund balance at the end of the year. While all cash is not necessarily expected to be spent, it does allow you the flexibility and the authority to do that. So you can see on the budget, we have a little bit of investment interest in there. We do have some fair revenue. Was relatively conservative with that because we really don't know what's going to happen. Could be a great turnout or maybe not, so conservative. Transfer from the general fund, there's 2 lines there, and the reason that is because I want to make sure that you know what we're transferring that's related to debt into that fund. So the $819,805 is for the annual radio hardware reserve, which is $147,778. That will be for 8 years, and this is the 5th transfer of those dollars. The radio infrastructure lease is $426,796, and that will be through 2033. GO bond payment that's transferred to bond and interest is $190,170, and that's through 2025 that will be transferring. And the motor grader lease, which is $55,061, that's through 2023. However, in that 2023 year, that is a large lump sum, and I believe that's if they would want to purchase it outright or whether they turn it back in and start a new lease. So there will probably be discussion on that coming up. The CIP also reflects reserves of $500,000 in the 3,000 line item, which is right here.
I don't see that.
So with that, you can see at the bottom, it does balance
Oh,
out.
there, okay.
Are there
Let me
any-
dim the lights down for the better for you.
Well, if I can find it
Okay.
on here, so I can't see it well from here at all. It is pretty dim.
Is there any questions? Is there anything that I can answer on the CIP?
Anything? Nope.
No? So we'll go on down to the economic development. So this one, you can see that we're expecting or estimating cash to come into the budget of $123,548. Again, this is also one that we reflect to balance, we balanced to 0 within the budget. So we have been transferring $300,000 in from the general fund. I did leave that flat. Couple things to note with that is if you see down below, you can see the first thing to note is this K-18 RAM contribution of $150,000 that ended this year. So there's no more $150,000 that will be going out after this. The next thing to note is the auto lane development, that's with Briggs Auto. And we have, it's like a, would you call it a tax abatement, Rich?
Yeah.
So basically, partnered with them in doing updates down there around their land. And because of that, we're basically crediting them back their tax dollars up to $6,057 a year. And that lasts through the 2024 year. So the 2023 tax roll, which will be completed on 2024. So we're close to finishing that up. And then this Kanza water project, that lasts through 2028. So that transfer will be continuing at $43,925. The amount fluctuates just a little bit each year, but it's in that ballpark figure.
What is that?
The Kanza water project, that's clear back from 2013. So Rich might have more detail.
That was when there was a defunct water system, I forget who owned and operated it, over across the viaduct. It had undersized infrastructure and it was never gonna get addressed, so the county took that over. And so we got city water over there, updated the infrastructure, and so we're paying that debt.
Is that where the Kanza trail is, or?
No, it's just the area, business and housing area across the viaduct. It doesn't even go up the hill.
Oh, that
Mhm.
commercial area.
It does go down some of the side roads to a
Okay.
certain point, but to some of the residential, but it doesn't go all the way out to the.
Okay,
Kanza.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's Surfside Fairmont
Yeah.
area.
Mhm.
Then the other one, I can't read, near that US 24, that.
The
bottom one,
project study, design and
Yeah.
engineering.
What's that?
So that's something we've been carrying with the recommendation of planning and development. We haven't done anything with it. However, we have kept those funds available in case you do end up having something that you need to fund with those dollars.
Now, if we haven't used it since 20, it just carries through. It's not like we're putting 50,000 away each year.
No, it's basically
Same.
sitting up there in that cash that carries to the next year because it hasn't been spent. We're just keeping it earmarked.
Okay.
So those are a couple of the things that will end at those points in time, and so I do want to make you aware of that. The other thing is we have this Riley County General Economic Development, and that happened just right after I came here. Rather than designating it for any specific outside entity appropriation, they wanted something that the commissioners could determine the use if something came up. So again, it's kind of an earmark of the unknown.
Well, it really jumped. Is there something?
Okay, so
in the
that's
works for that?
where I'll finish
Okay.
this discussion. So the reason that amount is bigger, it's largely because you can see that $150,000 decrease to what we've been budgeting each year. So that's no longer necessary, but we're still transferring the same dollar amount. So that's largely where your difference is. Because we had the 74,000 and you take away the 233 and that's 130,000. So that's primarily your change.
John, address that a little bit.
Yeah.
On that there, in the past, the chambers come to the Board of County Commissioners, say, we want to market our area, we need $5,000 to help market the area, brand the area, or, they're talking about needing an additional business park. They'll come to the county and say, we want you to be a partner. They did with the first one, and the county's participation in that was infrastructure improvement in the roads. And so the commissioners will come to us and say, okay, where do we have this money? Here's where this money's at. That's why it's designated as economic development, because previous county commissions have always said, our contribution to economic development isn't a tax abatement. It's to provide the infrastructure to allow that development to succeed. So that's how it's been handled in the past. Also, I think something the commissioners might want to keep on the back of the mind. Of course, we know the Teats situation with the sewer. We're going to do all that we can to get additional federal funds, and it even qualifies. I'm talking federal funds other than the ARPA funds, but the ARPA funds also do have monies in there for water and sewer. So we may be able to get some from that if we don't get enough from the USDA and revolving loan funds. But if we don't, that project has to get done one way or the other. To me, that project is economic development, just because we have had housing developments, new housing developments come to the commissioner and say, hey, we want to put in this infrastructure, will you help us out? So maybe a way to make it more affordable for the residents out there, if we don't get enough federal funding, would it be used to some of this funding to make the user fee more affordable?
We're gonna have some issues with water
At least,
as well, and we already have one issue with water, so
And at
that's
least
another
you-
thing to think about.
at least you guys, have some monies available to address that if we need it. So I had talked to Tammy about that and said, let's maybe leave that $300,000 transfer the same to give the commissioner some flexibility until we get a more clear picture on what we can and can't do with Keats. But it's at your guys' discretion. These are just recommendations from us.
And the thing is if you don't end up using it in the 2022 budget, you can always move it back to the general fund, if that's at your discretion.
And if the project didn't get done this year and gets done next year, it's just like that 50,000, Catherine, it would just carry over to the next year.
Carry over to the
We
next
wouldn't have to generate new revenue again.
Right.
Well, the one that we probably don't have to discuss it for 2022 budget, but I think, like, the Chamber of Commerce is counting on a big piece from the sales tax to fund a lot of their economic development. And I guess it will start to 2023 when they get that sales tax in. So we might not have to contribute that kind of money to the chamber for that economic development. But it's something we need to think about. I've thought about it, why should we do that when we're not getting any tax money? So, anyway.
Okay, so any other questions on economic development? All right, the next one is general. Couple things to point out on this one is the top where we have personnel services. Those are not normally paid out of here. I know Rich has reiterated this on his monthly presentations, that's for separation of service.
Right.
So I work with Elizabeth, the human resource manager, and she goes through the potential retirements and we determine what our cost could be, and that's how we base that number for the budgets. You can see on the documentation in our 2021 budget, we estimated it higher, and that was because, as you know, we had several department heads that had many years of service that left us, and we knew they were leaving, and so we made sure we were covered in those instances.
Tammy, on that title, we could probably take off comp time.
Okay.
That would include vacation time or sick leave time, does that include that?
It's
Separation of
your-
service does.
Yeah, it's your
Okay.
ESL and your annual leave.
We used to have a comp time though, but we've done away with that, and it's just an old title.
Okay, a couple other things to note is we do have a fund reserve policy that was adopted in 2018. And so if you look at line item 4005, down here on
Budget
this budget
stabilization, yeah.
stabilization, that is where we are putting those dollars. And with the additional $250,000 increase, which is what we have in our policy to do, that would take us up to the 3.3 million in the 2022 budget. Our goal is to reach the 3.5 million. However, I would encourage you to revisit that goal as we go, because as times change, based on what the bond council and our ratings are, it can determine how much money we can borrow. And so it's good to make sure that you're staying up with what they're expecting to see in order to get the best rates out there for any debt. So it is something that should be reviewed. I would suggest at least every 5 years, if not more often. Another one that I wanted to point out is on line 2990. There's other contractual services. And as Elizabeth had pointed out earlier presentations, that the wage study for the county has not been performed since 2012, I believe. And so we potentially, with your approval, would need to have that done in the 2022 year. So dollars are in that line item for that purpose.
Is that what a study potentially will cost us, $100,000?
So Rich estimated 60 to 80,000 potentially.
And what we're talking, is it a reclassification, because that's much more broad, where they go through and evaluate job descriptions and where people are in pay ranges and stuff. It's just a wage to see if all wages are staying up with market is what it is. So it's a much more concise study. It's similar to what the city's going to be going through, I believe, by the end of this year is their goal. And so it's just to be sure that we're competitive with the market on salaries.
So it could be less than $100,000.
Yeah, we'll only pay, for sure.
Well, and that line also encompasses like the training costs.
Okay,
So it's not just those dollars. We do have like the annual training day that we put in there as well.
okay.
One more thing I want to point out with the general is we did get the ARP funds in the account this morning. So our cash balance increased to 7.2 million as of this morning, which is half of what we've been allocated. So with that, it made me realize I did not account for those dollars in neither the estimated 2021 budget, because now we have the power to spend $7 million more, nor in the 2022, which is when we will get that second half. So because of that, on line 4990 here, I am going to be adding on other capital outlay that 7.2 million, which would give us the authority to spend it because it's going to be there. So I'm going to have to amend the budget if I don't do that for 2022. I can already tell you that. And we will have to amend 2021 because we obviously didn't have it in the 2021 budget.
So will you put those in the various categories or?
No, I'm
how does
going
that
to
work?
just put it under that other capital outlay.
Okay.
That way we can.
We haven't budgeted it for anything, so that's
Yeah,
really the only
right.
place you can
We
put
don't
it.
know what we'll
Exactly.
spend it on, so that'll just, again, be an earmark spot where I know where it's at and can track it. But I will be adding that, so when you look at our summary budgets, you can expect to see it 7 million more than what has been presented in total at this point in time.
So do we put that in an interest-bearing account, or is that legal?
So with the first set of CARES funds, that was, the state's guidance was to not do that. And however, with this, it does say you have the ability to do it, but that also means that you have more to track, and interest rates are so low at this point in time. We already have a bank account and a fund established for this that was not interest bearing. So our recommendation is to not put it in there and have to deal with more tracking and making sure you don't have issues with that interest as we did with the past funds. However, if you directed us to do different, we would do that. But the budget and planning committee has discussed this with the past CARES funds, and at that point, our recommendation was to leave it out of the interest-bearing fund and not
So
use
we'll
that.
be drawing against it pretty regularly, so it won't sit there.
That depends on what you
know?
determine you want to use it towards. So I can't answer that until we establish a plan of what we're going to spend those dollars for.
We have technically allocated 190,000 already for
So that again
mid-year
depends.
adjustment.
It's going, so discussing that, we do have some of those funds from the prior that were reimbursed for salaries that were already budgeted.
Okay.
So my suggestion would be to use those because you don't have that federal fund tracker on it. Tracking every payroll or going to the end of the year to determine what exactly you spent, which is what the federal government will expect, would be much more difficult than using the ones that no longer have those stipulations on it. And then you can use these funds towards something else.
Because I was thinking even 1% of 7 million is, it's a lot of money, so. I mean,
Not when you figure in the personnel and the time it
Yeah.
takes to retrack it.
Well, the thing is, it's not 1%.
No,
You know,
it's like 0.2 something. Yeah, okay, yeah.
0.01, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even pennies on the dollar at this
We would
point in
talk
time.
about
Yeah.
it, or we can talk about it now, but yeah. personal time.
As we get going into this and we have more detail and more guidance and a plan established, we'll come and have much more discussion on this. This is just some preliminary information for you.
Okay.
Okay, so any other questions on the general? All right, the insurance is relatively clean, however, does cost money. So I did increase it an additional 5% from the estimated 2021 budget. That's not what we budgeted. I estimated it after we have already paid many costs, and it came in higher than what we originally budgeted as well. So I do think it's safe to go ahead and add an additional 5% just to make sure we're covered on there.
Do we just use the same company every year for insurance? or
So
do we
that
ever-
is part of our reason why we've had some adjustments is we've switched many of them to travelers. And we do have our coverage is actually better, it's stronger. But you do have some costs with that. So, we went through the information with C&W, and based on what they could provide us and the cost, it seemed to be the best route to take the travelers, even though it does cost just a little more. And then, of course, with workman's comp, those
you don't have a
raise
choice.
every year.
Yeah.
And so you just have to try to stay above water with those.
And I think with your question, Greg, we use Charleston Wilson, who's an independent insurance agent. They generally go out and bid it with multiple companies that can do large commercial government groups to talk about the best service and best rates.
That's
So,
you don't do it every year, but
oh, they actually look at it every year
They-
for us.
okay.
Mhm.
That's what I was wondering. That's-
Then the last one. No, I guess
No,
there are
you
still
have
two more. Just trying to skip.
Last
over
one
you
that
guys
counts.
all the
You
way
You keep
around.
wanting to forget about
Yeah,
us,
I
don't
I
you?
don't care about it.
Okay, so bond and interest, a couple things that I want you to note on there. First of all, most of this fund has debt that the county's not responsible for. So a large part of it is for benefit districts, which are paid from special assessments with the landowners. The other thing that we have that comes in from CIP and economic development is CIP funds a facility and bridge project, and economic development funds that Kanza water project. So interestingly enough, we do not have any ad valorem tax dollars that we'll be requesting with our bond and interest fund for the 2022 year. And that's largely the reason is because there's very little that's the county debt. The other thing is when we had the University Park project in 2018, many of the landowners paid their assessments up front to save those interest costs. So by doing that, that put money into our fund that is sitting there for debt, and we're paying debt with those funds. So as far as tax dollars, they're not required to replenish that at this point. One other thing I do want you to note, because I just went and looked it up this morning to let you know. So the Kanza water and the bridge and facilities projects are being paid, and I told you the years those would be done, 2025 and 2028. The only other county obligation is there's a Series 2002 bond that we were 20% responsible. The last payment for that will be the 2022 budget year, which is $71,000. So after that year, the county, besides the two funds putting money in there, has no more debt in the bond and interest fund. Which I still have to bring a debt presentation, which I have to do. We're just kind of in the tranches of budget season and audit season, and it's been kind of crazy, but I do have it on my calendar to present that information to you. But thought you would find that interesting to know that that's all we have left that's sitting in the actual bond and interest fund, besides the dollars that come from CIP and economic development. The rest will be special assessments that are paid. And then the last one is the commissioner's budget. And with the 3Cs, I left everything flat, so the only difference in your budgets are the wages.
What's legal services?
So legal services is your lobbyist that you pay,
Oh, okay.
and
Because I thought plans for somewhere else.
yeah,
That's the lobbyist. Oh, okay.
When you get that information during the legislation from the,
Yeah.
that's who that is.
Yeah. I knew we had, just wondering what that was.
and you can see, the travel, all of the lodging, airfare, meals, all of those have been extremely low and largely due to COVID in 2020. So I did leave them flat with what we had in the 2021 budget. And if you believe those need adjusted, I am willing to do that for you. But at this point in time, I don't know if we have a normal to look at. So we're trying to still be conservative, but give you some room in case things do come up where you do need to travel.
I don't foresee any, but there might be that national conference that you might want to go to.
I'm going to do it virtually. I'm not traveling all the way out to DC at this point, maybe next year.
Yeah.
But we have that KCCA thing in June. So that's within the state travel. We got a state conference October. It was November a couple of years ago. So and there's a few other opportunities.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll amount to, I think we're good there. Yeah, I think that's a good figure.
So that's all I have, unless you have any other additional questions. I do need to bring back our CPD, and I will do that as soon as I have some numbers for you, but at this point, I do not.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. I'm going to come by and chat with you about
I gave
that.
you lots of good news.
You did. You did. You can, I'm going to blame it on the Kansas legislature. That's what I'm going to do on this
Yeah,
one.
that's true.
All right.
Well, thank you. This looks really good. I'm catching on a little bit more now.
Well, if you have questions, you can always come in and sit down with me, and we can go through things one-on-one if that helps as well. So.
I do that next week sometimes.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good.
It's good.
Okay, we're now a little bit behind, so
Sorry about that.
no, you're fine,
That's
Tammy.
my bad news to you.
No, you're perfectly fine. So we'll start with John. Sorry, I make you wait, but
That's okay. You're talking money a little bit.
yeah.
John Elmer, Public Works Director. I am in front of you again to ask to refill a traffic control technician position.
This is a different one now.
This is a different one. We
Okay.
had the employee that was a traffic control tech did a certification test for inspector, KDOT inspection training, passed his certifications, and then we moved him into the engineering tech construction position.
Okay.
So his position is this one that we're asking to fill.
And as a side, that position had been open for over 6 months, so that was a great opportunity to fill it internally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm almost 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd move to approve the Public Works Department to advertise for the open traffic control technician position.
Yeah, I'd second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to refill the, I lost my spot here, traffic control technician position. All those in favor?
Aye.
All three, please.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Next is Shadow Hager.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Charlotte Hager, Riley County Treasurer. I feel like I was just here doing this.
I thought so too. Deja vu.
And I haven't had to do this in a while because usually my staff is pretty stable, but I have had an employee turn in their resignation effective June 4th. She is currently in the budget as a customer service rep 2 with actually 16 years of experience. And so I'm asking to open up the position as a customer service rep 1, and which would start at our entry level within the treasurer's office. And just like I mentioned last month, it's just very important that we have all of our positions filled in order to meet the demand of the public for titling and registering of vehicles and the tax collection purposes.
Unfortunately for you, I was in there this morning doing the same thing, so got a visual on everything, so. Any thoughts, any questions?
No.
Okay.
Need to fill.
I'd make a motion to approve request for the customer service position, step one.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to fill the open customer service position in the treasurer's office. All those in favor?
Aye.
All three, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shadow. Elizabeth.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Elizabeth Ward, Human Resource Manager, and I am here today to talk about our Riley County-wide requests for new and extended positions. And you can see we have several departments, and we have support from those departments here to talk a little bit more about each one. My thought is to speak about each position in its own right, and then any questions that you have about that position answered. So if you're ready to do that, we'll just start with the emergency planner position. The request there is an expansion of that position. So that position is currently a part-time position, depending on whether, which benefits and that the person takes is somewhere between 20 to 25 hours per week. We do have a person starting in that position in the next week. So we've had a transition, but the request has been made to make it a full-time position. And you can see the justification that Russell and Lori together submitted on the reasons why this position really needs to be full-time. I will add that during the pandemic, this position was made temporarily into a full-time position. So that person was working a full 40 plus hours a week to help respond. One of the great things about this position is they do have partial funding. So they do receive that $31,659 annually to help pay for the position. And our estimated wage and benefit for the position will be $51,938. So you can see, and it might have dropped down to the next line, but the total difference of the request that they're asking to expand the position would be at that $20,279. And that position is already, it already has a grade, it's set, we've got the range, so that would be a solid estimate. And then of course, Russell's here and can answer any direct questions of the purpose or the justification for this position if you have any.
But you said there's a part-time, it was part-time before, so it isn't even, was it funded by the grant funded, the part-time was grant funded?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is just adding full, the grant funded all the part-time person.
Correct.
Yes. Yep. It's been a part-time position, grant funded, and then during COVID, there were other CARES related funding that paid for that full-time. So now the request is really for that additional $20,000 to make it full-time.
Just to make it full-time, okay.
And then one thing I might add is, as you well know in our department, in December, we had probably 70 plus years of experience in the department. Now we have 25 years of experience and institutional knowledge. And that 25 years is eligible to retire yesterday. And so we could go from 77 years, I think it's 70 plus years of experience and institutional knowledge to 6 months, any day. The plan is for 2 to 3 years in that position. That current employee, Lori, will probably retire. But this would give a good transition to have a full-time person in there, gaining that knowledge, not just somebody that's part-time, that's just a part-time job that doesn't have a career path, and would give a career path to that person to take over when Lori does decide to retire.
And as just a side note on that, the person that Russell has identified and has accepted this position does have ambition to work in emergency management on a full-time basis. It has a degree and has military and an educational experience in that arena, but really wants to work in this industry. Any other questions or thoughts about that position? I don't want to rush you, but I also don't want to
Keep going.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right, so then the next position we wanted to talk about is the maternal and child health bilingual navigator. This is also an expanded position. So as you may recall, you've seen this position twice the last month and a half. And we do currently have this position approved, not filled yet, but it is approved for a full-time temporary position. So we've, and obviously Brevin and Julie can speak to it a little bit more better, but they've been able to get grant funding to get this position full-time until the end of the year. So what they're asking then is to continue the position, to make it a regular position at Riley County. We have an existing position description. You know, we know that it's grade Q. We've got the starting range salary there. And so you know that the full expense is $75,441. They do have OPI and ELC grant funding combination that would amount to $37,720, so half of that, maybe 50%. And that would continue. She has all reason to believe that that would continue into the future. And it's been a stable grant that you've had for, what did you say?
Since 2004.
Yeah, so stable grant funding for that position. So at this point, the request is to continue the position into 2022. And they also have submitted justification, but are here to speak as well.
Okay, so the full-time would actually, expanded would actually not take effect until 22.
Well, what it'll be is it'll change the way that we advertise the position.
Right.
So right now, what we have approved is a temporary position. We would advertise it as full-time hours, temporary. And so they would, all the candidates would know there's an ending date of December 31st. Now, if you approve it into 2022, we would then say, okay, this is a full-time regular under the Federal Labor Standards Act, the regular position. We're still, you know, there's no contract or anything like that, but it would still be a position that you would expect to continue into the future.
Okay.
Anything you ladies wanted to add or? No? Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. Next, we would like to talk about a planning and development position. And I know Amanda has talked to you about her staffing needs a little bit in the past. This is a brand new position. So this position, we actually do have the exact position right now, an environmental health specialist. So this would be a replica of that position. We already have the position description. We know the grade is accurate. So we know what the starting range of the position would be. And then there is no outside funding, but Amanda has talked a little bit in her justification of the need of why we would need a full new position in it. Would you like to talk to it about that?
Good morning. So again, I did talk a little bit about in my justification why we're looking for this additional position. And I did, of course, as you remember, had Perry Piper, our current environmental health specialist, come in a couple weeks ago and give you folks a presentation as to all the things that he does. And he is currently the only one doing all of that work for the entire county. He does an excellent job. But I think we as a department, as well as the citizens of the county, would be served by an additional Perry, if I could. And again, we could just, we're growing, we're developing, things are happening, or he's not always going to be able to keep up as well as he does.
Any questions or clarifications for that position and what it would entail? I think you do have a good understanding since Perry made the presentation. It would be similar job responsibilities. Thank you. All right, the next position we want to talk about is a part-time seasonal hazardous waste technician. This is not a new position to Riley County, but it is not currently a budgeted position. And Michael can speak about a little bit to the need, but we do know we have a position description. It would be a grade B. We know the starting range. This is an hourly employee, and you'll notice this is only seasonal, so this is only 300 hours a year. The budget request is $4,036.88, which is what would be that 300 hours at a step 2. So it could be a little bit less, a little bit more, but that's the estimate in there. And Michael did talk in his justification about the need of why this position would be needed in noxious weed. I don't know if you have anything else to add or anything you want to clarify.
No, I think it's in there. Important thing is, the commissioners we're the second biggest producer of hazardous waste in the state of Kansas. Second, third, we flip flop with Little Lake for a little bit, and it's recycling, Mother Earth, and taking care of recycling is growing. And this is a position that I'm focused on the absolute minimum that we can use right now, and I really foresee this going probably part-time and then expanding. This is the minimum amount I thought would be appropriate.
And just so you're tracking what that means, he actually is asking for 20 hours a week seasonal right now. So it's not even, some of our seasonal are 40 hours a week during the season. His would be part-time seasonal. And then ideally come back around the next season. So depending on the need, he could ask for expansion. Questions or any clarification needed on that one? Okay. All right, and then the final position is an EMS ambulance position. This is also a new position. So this is for an administrative assistant in EMS and ambulance. And from what I understand, this is actually a position that's been discussed as a potential need for several years. Maybe it hasn't been proposed yet, but has been discussed and tried, and the duties have been moved around from person to person. So we have a proposed pay grade, so I don't have a approved position description, but obviously we have other administrative assistant positions in Riley County that we can base that off of. So using that as our estimate, we would be looking in that $14.69 to $16.24 per hour. In the hiring range, it would be a full-time position, so it would be benefits eligible. So our annual wage impact would be $44,104. David submitted some justification there, and I'm sure Josh is more than able to speak to the need. I don't know if there's anything particular you'd like to share at this point.
Yeah, sure. Certainly able to answer any questions you have regarding the justification document submitted, but essentially David and I, in 2017, when we became a department of the county after separating from Ascension, this was a position that we kind of threw around a little bit, trying to see where some of these ancillary assignments would shake out after that separation occurred. And in our kind of 1, 3, and 5 year strategic vision for the department, we found that we're kind of consistently not quite meeting our targets because of some of these ancillary type interruptions that occur in our daily workflow. So it's been a desire of ours for some time. It's just finally kind of starting the proverbial rubber's meeting the road, and it's time to find a home for some of these work assignments.
Now, is that a gross amount or is that?
Yes, if the amount that I estimated there includes benefits and wages for the year.
There's no administrative assistant in the ambulance now at all.
Yes, sir.
All right, so obviously you have all those enclosures that are all the position descriptions and the justifications and those things as well. And I know it's a lot of material, but at this point, what we are requesting is to consider each position individually and as a separate motion as to what shall be included in the 2020 typo or 2022 budget preparation. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's the same thing as this morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to go back to 20.
No, right? And I had to figure out how to present this, so I used Cindy Volante's format here, and I didn't see it. So, but we would like you to think about each position and then make a motion separately, whether you would like to approve all, some, or none.
Or if you need more time or need more information.
Doesn't this need to be included in the overall budget of each department?
Only if you approve the position.
It's kind of those, we can't include it until you approve it.
No, they're not approved positions currently.
Right, they are not included, they're not presented.
Not existing positions in the county. Only thing that's in any budget is any existing position.
And I think you also discussed that at the beginning, that you didn't want any new position, because there is a way that we could say, okay, this position is in the budget tentatively, but based on approval, but you had specifically asked us to not include those in the budget proposals.
Well, I'll clarify that a little more.
Please.
We haven't done that for decades because that used to happen.
Yeah.
And when it didn't get approved, got through the entire budget process, and so therefore was approved. And so
Right.
that's why we never include them in the departmental budget and provide them separately until the commissioners take formal action to approve it as a position. I would highly discourage from ever doing that, because the county attorney's office, when you've got a position, that kind of went under the radar.
I've seen that before as well. You have to be very particular and make sure that nothing is sliding through, so
So, yeah,
good practice.
good practice.
Well, where I'm at on this, I'll just start, I guess, is I would rather not do any of those at this particular point in time until we work through the remaining part of the budget. I think our priority really needs to, particularly because of 2021 and what we've experienced in 2020. I didn't want to go back in 2021 now, is to take care of those that we already have on board.
Right.
And we need to make sure that that's, in my opinion, is the very first priority of all. We still got some pieces to fill in to see where everything is going to lie, including the mill levies and valuations. We've got another budget that we still need to work on that needs to be incorporated in this process too. And the quickest way to start equaling that up is brand new positions, as you can see at this point in time. Rich, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to remember how we did this, did we put by motion a hiring freeze in place last year? Or did we do that by consensus? I can't remember.
Don't remember, but they both have the same net effect.
Okay,
They're
so
both action
we
taken.
technically have that in place. As you can see, even this morning, everybody's coming in, whether it's a new position, not a new position, and discussing with us in specifics what those are. And I think that's an important process. Personally, I know it's probably a pain for all the department heads, and I apologize for that, but it gives everybody, including us commissioners, people watching, the ability to know what each one of those positions do and what they are and what they incorporate. Not to say that your presentation here didn't accomplish that, but I would feel more comfortable right now working through each one of these after we know what our overall budget is and after we know where we're kind of at in the process, or as we get into that budget later on. It takes a lot of the unknowns out of that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm going to. We might want, I don't want to lose track of these.
Yeah.
Oh,
believe me, we won't.
Look at-
We will, I'm sure. Yeah.
We'll present them after we get, and what John's saying is he'd like to see the full expenditure and revenue picture, and we won't know that until after I release the assessed valuation, which will be after June 1st.
Right.
Our hands are tied on revenues, and the biggest portion of it is still missing.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything to speed that up because the state won't even get us the utilities until June 1st, probably.
And it's probably going to probably go through some channels, so it probably won't be right on June 1st necessarily, will it? Or is it statutorily
they get us their
required?
Valuation then, but they haven't given it to
Yeah.
us late, but our hands are tied on that. And the statute dictates where we're at on the revenue at this point in time. And we will have the Senate Bill 13 revenue neutral rate later that week or the first of next week. That'll be something that will be generated in our office as well. And we're not only doing it for you, remember, it's every public entity in Riley County. So
including our CPD, apparently.
well, yeah, probably.
There's
We're still
stuff,
gonna have
so-
discussions on that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So, but for Catherine's benefit and my benefit, will there be when would you like to see this again, or how would you like to see it?
It'll be
You're not
after
saying
we get that
individually.
entire picture put together.
Right.
Tammy will have the sheets completely filled out with revenues and expenditures to show the board exactly where we need to be with what it's gonna cost with the current request at the current assessed value of a mill. And so it'll be after that date. It'll be after probably the first week of June. And then once we know that, we'll bring that picture back. And then after that, we'll have Elizabeth come back and present this exact same thing.
Okay, that was my second part of my question, whether you were suggesting you wanted to see that in the same format, or you wanted each one in a separate.
I'd just do it all.
I would just do it all the same.
Could we put it in
That's.
like another column, or like in a parentheses?
I think right now, until you have a chance to discuss each one of them, and then put it in line item in each one of the departmental budgets, it needs to be segregate.
So, yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying, separate, okay, these are what are proposed, this is what, this current kind of thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in any
Okay.
existing budget until the commission's approved it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not them, but when we're looking at it as,
Well, you're gonna be looking at it as a line item. I mean, you could make a separate line item there, just that amount if you had
We
to.
can show you the net impact of the mill levy, there's a lot of numbers in the budget process, and even as Tammy going back and changing to make sure version 1 is version 1, and you made the changes on version 2, and this cell matches that cell, the less confusing you make it, the easier for everyone for no mistakes to happen when you're dealing with thousands of numbers.
well, whatever is the easiest to look at, I don't wanna lose track of what each department is proposing compared to what we've got, what we actually need, so, or where we are. So I don't know if that's possible, or maybe a separate little
Yeah,
cheat sheet
I'll
for
keep the
us or
numbers.
something.
I'll track them on the side so that I can at least present them to you. They won't be in your summary numbers, but I can tell you what the impact's gonna be when I present those totals.
Because I'm sure that there's more than this, sure.
The thing is, all of them are in the general fund except the health department, so.
Okay.
And the health department, unless they are asking for more dollars, as far as ad valorem tax dollars, it won't have an effect on that, so. It will just be what their overall costs are.
And the 181 is all ad valorem.
Yeah.
Tax increase, correct? Correct. So you're talking quarter of a mil.
Yeah, somewhere there, depending.
181 includes the health department. That might be my misunderstanding, but that 181 does include the 37,000 for.
Oh, this, I thought he was talking about the 2%, because that's around the same number.
No, on the new
Sorry.
request, so the new request, that total
That is
includes
the total of
grant
all
funds.
of the new requests, yes.
Yeah, that is.
So
that would be
that's
37,
that's
okay.
something we need to clarify as well.
Another reason to make sure that we have all the components of the budget
Yeah.
together before making these type of decisions.
Yeah, there's so many pieces,
Yeah.
it's.
So 144,000 would be what it will.
That's why these pieces we like to keep separate until you guys formally approve them, and then we'll put them within the budgets.
So we need to make a motion on, we don't.
You haven't made any decision on it.
Okay, so we'll ask that it comes back when we have the full extent of where we're at on the budget, revenue wise, valuation wise, and obviously the most important, the
Which will not be until after the first week of June. That's
Okay.
just nothing we can do about that. That's by statute when the state has to give us that information. We have the overwhelming majority of it right now, but we
Yeah.
still have to wait for those final pieces, put it all together for our office to calculate assessed valuation.
Okay, so we'll table it until that point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Catherine,
And speaking of personnel, looks like we got a couple.
one of two spreadsheets Tammy will develop will really help clarify and show previous year's requests and budgets and currents and the difference and all that. She has a really nice spreadsheet that
Okay,
clarifies
okay.
a lot of that for all on just 2 pages too. It's not on 100 pages. So it's not
This
that-
is probably gonna be the worst.
It's a nice summary.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
where you can see all the numbers at once.
Yeah.
Yes, 11:35, we have.
We got Julia.
Yes. Yeah, a little
Couple
time,
minutes.
Julia.
I suppose the first year is probably the most confusing.
Well, you get some bumps in the road along the way, potentially every year, looking
Well,
everybody
every year,
off the extra pay period and the one and yeah.
Yeah, that one won't happen for a long time at least. Again.
We were pretty good through there and we're like, uh-oh. As you can tell, one payroll changes things pretty drastically.
It's every 11 years.
I thought that's what you were saying.
It's not, it's 11 to 12 years, it just depends, it's not even consistent in its rotation, so. It's really, I mean, it's so random that you don't get used to it, and then you get hit again.
Bless you.
Thanks.
I know, I consider those jeans and tennis shoes here.
Okay, go ahead, Julie.
All right.
All right.
Good morning. Sorry for my casual look this morning. We have an event going on.
No, you're
So-
fine. You're fine.
Change the health.
Oh, yeah.
No, not for, oh yeah, we
Yeah,
did for
there's a
this one.
motion
Yeah,
in
there. It wasn't on my screen there. Why? Okay, yeah, it's one of those mornings. I'll go ahead and move that, we move from the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
All right.
Sorry about that. It's usually here. I missed it.
Well, this shouldn't take long. You already know about the 2 full-time medical clerks that we've asked for the clinic. We have been through several interviews, 7 to be exact. We did have one really great applicant, Ruth Ott. She is currently a contact tracer. She's been with us for almost a year now since we started with our contact tracers. So, but she is only available. So we did make the offer to her. She's only available 30 hours, so she'd only be part-time. So after we consulted with Elizabeth and Michelle, suggested that if we wanted to move forward with that we actually change one of these full-time positions to 2 part-time positions instead, because she is so skilled and we really like Ruth. She's a great worker. She's actually out of the clinic right now helping us with check-in. We do want to move forward with this. So my request today is to move one of those full-time temporary medical clerk positions to 2 part-time positions.
Sorry, the HR just has to clarify one thing. So I just want to be very clear that we've extensively searched and exhausted all efforts to find a qualified candidate that would meet the full-time requirement. I think that's important to know. We are not and would not change the job to meet a candidate's availability or time. If that's important on how we advertise, how we recruit, how we fill positions. So she has done all of her due diligence and looked at these, she interviewed 7, but she's looked at many other candidates and they're just not meeting the need for a full-time position to fill this need. So just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with that.
So what is the kind of hourly time frame there? 20, 30 hours a week?
30 hours.
30 hours a
Yep.
week, okay.
She just needs to leave at 3
Okay.
every day for
Okay.
kids.
Sure.
So you'll be looking for a part-time person to pick up the other 10 hours or whatever.
Yes.
And we'll advertise that position then. If this is approved, we would advertise the position as part-time. And look for someone who's available those hours that are needed to cover.
But then you also still get another full-time
We do. We have one
That you-
full-time position open.
that you haven't got close to yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Continue to recruit.
Yeah.
It really should not be a budgetary impact. All of our part-time employees are eligible for benefits as long as they're a continued regular employee, and our temporaries are not eligible for benefits. It's also prorated, so there really shouldn't be any budgetary impact. It just would be not one person, it would be a different type of job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend that Board of Health approve the request to change one of the full-time positions to 2 part-time positions.
Yeah, I
Motion.
second that.
That's a motion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. That word right.
Sorry, we've all been struggling this morning. Might as well be you too. Did you second it?
Yes, I second
Okay. It's been moved and seconded on request to change the status of a currently open position to part-time in the health department. All those in favor? Aye.
All 3, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next you have Russell at 10:40. 11:40, yeah. No wonder I'm so
We're all,
hungry.
we're all.
Catherine, you're next.
So all these chairs have messed us up.
Yeah, I know, it's
Throwing off our
They're
mojo.
looking for other people here.
It says we came in super early this morning,
Yeah, I guess.
huh?
Yeah, that didn't help.
Just move out of the board.
Yeah, you just finish signing this.
Yeah. You're killing me.
Okay,
Better
with that,
deliver good news.
No, it's not bad.
Okay.
okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we
I know, I
move from the Board of
hope
County Health to the Board of County, reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Now it's time for Russell.
Okay.
So as you know, the fire chief has resigned effective June 4th and need to fill that position. As I've discussed before, I would like to change that from a fire chief's position to a deputy chief and have a deputy chief. So have two deputy chiefs, same amount of people, just a different title. And I have the job descriptions that I've been working with HR to modify to have a deputy chief of administration and then a deputy chief of operations is what I would like to do, and give permission to advertise internally first. And I have been recruiting and have a strong candidate from internal, and so that's what I'd like permission to do.
Okay. So just to clarify, we'll no longer have a technical fire chief. You'll be moving and designating those responsibilities around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still be the department head.
Yeah.
There's probably some documents that I will sign as the fire chief.
Yeah.
I'll basically carry the title of fire chief,
Yeah.
but
It's been done before.
Yeah.
the majority of those responsibilities will still be split between two people. They'll just be equals instead of one above the other.
Okay.
The person that, the fire chief that resigned, was that to go someplace else?
It was, he took another fire chief's job closer to family, more pay, closer to family is the biggest thing though.
That's been happening a lot, I guess.
Keep in mind, we, spent a large portion even before we hired Russell last year of kind of revamping and redeveloping this particular department and kind of folding a couple of things in here. So, it only seems legitimate that, a little bit of change or some reorganization as you have time to see how everything plays out and works out. And in this particular fire department in particular, we've lost a lot of experience, a lot of years of experience. So kind of balancing that out really actually makes pretty good sense at this point in time, at least from my perspective. So. If we want to do that, we'll have to do it by motion. Yep.
I'd move. And the board approve the position change from fire chief, fire district 1 to deputy fire chief of operations after reclassification by McGrath.
I would second that.
Been redeveloped already?
So, good question. Russell and I both feel, and we've discussed this with you, that potentially the classification for the deputy chief position is not in line with where it needs to be for the responsibilities and the skill set we need in order to continue to recruit and retain good deputy chief candidates. So with both positions would change. We're asking you to approve one new position, which would be the deputy chief operations. The current deputy chief position description will also change to be administrative.
Oh, okay.
And there will be job duties that will change under it. I would very much like to get those both reclassified. I have a pretty strong feeling that the pay grade is not the right place for the responsibilities that we're asking for, the training that we're asking for at the deputy level. As you know, we weren't able to hire any of the most recent candidates at anywhere near step one. And that was across the board, every solid candidate that we interviewed, we would have needed to move in a different direction. So that's the justification there for taking that new description back to McGrath and having a pretty strong conversation.
Okay, well, it's been moved and seconded on reclassification and reorganization from a fire chief to an assistant fire chief. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3, please. Oh, sorry.
No, it was me.
So we'll be working to finalize these job descriptions and bring it back to you as soon as possible. I think my hope is as soon as next week, maybe that can.
Okay.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Stuff the yellow and green today.
Yeah, I know. Lots of green and lots of yellow.
Lots of personnel changes, things with the territory.
There's been a lot this year.
It really has. It's not just us, it's everywhere across the board.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the chamber report today.
Mhm. Okay, so does anybody have anything else? Well, keep in mind, we have a 4 p.m. County meeting at City Chamber. Mhm. So,
Do we have a more detailed agenda yet?
Nope.
Or is that all?
that's all we
That's
got.
all there is.
That's all
Yeah.
there is. We'll have a presentation available or something something verbal or something and/or on the screen. That's typically how those work.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we close or?
Yeah, make an adjourn. Yeah, we can adjourn now because
Let's move to adjourn after city county meeting.
Yeah.
Just hard to get a adjournment in that setting there.
Oh, yeah.
or when it's here for that matter too. Yeah.
But it's moved to adjourn the meeting after the county meeting.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on adjournment of the May 20th, 2021 meeting after our afternoon city county meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.